Welcome to a journey through Egypt's greatest mysteries. Beneath the sands of time lie secrets of lost queens, vanished tombs, golden treasures, and forgotten armies. From Cleopatra's missing resting place to King Tut's modern-day clone, these stories reveal how ancient Egypt still speaks to us thousands of years later. Each discovery is a puzzle piece, bringing us closer to understanding the people who built one of the most powerful civilizations in history. Stay with us as we dig through tunnels, temples, and tombs to uncover the untold secrets of Egypt. Cleopatra's lost tomb has remained one of history's greatest mysteries. Beneath the hot sands of Egypt, archaeologists are digging for the final resting place of the legendary queen. Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, was famous for her beauty, her romances with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, and her tragic death by a venomous snake. But while her life is well recorded, her tomb has never been found. Now, a team of Egyptian and Dominican archaeologists believe they may be closer than ever. They discovered a 300-foot-long underground tunnel near the ancient temple of Taposiris Magna, about 28 miles west of Alexandria. This temple was sacred to Isis, the goddess Cleopatra often compared herself to, which makes the location even more meaningful. The tunnel is narrow, dark, and partly flooded, making exploration slow and dangerous. Still, coins with Cleopatra's face, statues of Isis, and pottery have already been uncovered nearby. Some historians argue Cleopatra's tomb must be in Alexandria, where ancient writers said she died. Others believe it may have been lost when a tsunami destroyed part of the city in 365 AD. But the new discovery raises hope that Cleopatra may indeed lie beneath the temple. If her tomb is found, it could become the greatest archaeological discovery of the century. The tunnel to a queen. The tunnel to a queen is unlike anything archaeologists have seen before. Hidden beneath the ancient temple of Taposiris Magna, this underground passage stretches for almost 300 feet. Imagine a tunnel as long as 12 football fields, carved deep into the earth thousands of years ago. It's not just the size that amazes researchers, it's the mystery of where it leads. Could it be the secret pathway to Cleopatra's lost tomb? The passage is about 6.5 feet tall, just enough for a person to stand inside, but its narrow walls and flooded sections make it a claustrophobic nightmare. Parts of the floor are submerged in water, forcing archaeologists to move carefully, step by step, into the darkness. It feels less like exploring history and more like playing the most dangerous game of hide and seek ever. Despite the challenges, hope runs high. The tunnel's location beneath a temple dedicated to Isis is a powerful clue. Cleopatra loved to connect herself with Isis, even calling herself the goddess in human form. This makes the passage more than just an architectural wonder. It could be the sacred road leading to the queen herself. The journey down this tunnel may take years, but if it ends at Cleopatra's resting place, it will rewrite history forever. Claustrophobic Passage. Claustrophobic Passage is the perfect way to describe the newly found corridor beneath Taposiris Magna. Archaeologists entering the tunnel must squeeze through a space just wide enough for one person at a time. At 6.5 feet tall, it seems manageable, but its eerie narrowness and the constant drip of water make it feel like the walls are closing in. For anyone with claustrophobia, this is not an adventure, it's a nightmare. Parts of the tunnel are completely flooded, forcing explorers to wade through dark water that hides unknown dangers. Imagine walking in silence, the only sounds being splashes and echoes, with tons of ancient rock pressing down above you. The deeper they go, the more treacherous the journey becomes. Yet every step could bring them closer to uncovering Cleopatra's hidden tomb. The work is painfully slow. Debris blocks certain sections, and any sudden movement risks collapse. Still, the team pushes forward, driven by the possibility that this claustrophobic passage might not just be a tunnel. It could be a sacred path designed to protect one of history's most famous queens. Each inch they clear feels like peeling back the layers of time, inching closer to Cleopatra's final secret. Temple of Isis clues. Temple of Isis clues may hold the key to unlocking Cleopatra's mystery. The newly found tunnel isn't random. It lies directly beneath Taposiris Magna, an ancient temple dedicated to Isis, goddess of magic and healing. This detail is important because Cleopatra often compared herself to Isis, calling herself the living form of the goddess. For her, the connection wasn't just symbolic, it was political and spiritual. If she wanted her tomb to reflect divine power, being buried near a temple of Isis would make perfect sense. Archaeologists exploring the area have uncovered powerful hints that point toward Cleopatra. Coins stamped with her face, along with the face of Alexander the Great, were found close to the tunnel. They also unearthed statues of Isis and pottery, each piece another clue suggesting the queen may be near. It feels like history is leaving a trail of breadcrumbs. Still, not everyone is convinced. Ancient writers like Plutarch claimed Cleopatra was buried in Alexandria, possibly alongside Mark Antony. Yet, the spiritual tie to Isis makes this temple a strong candidate. Whether coincidence or destiny, the Temple of Isis seems to whisper secrets about where the last queen of Egypt may be waiting. Coins and statues found. Coins and statues found near the tunnel at Taposiris Magna have given archaeologists real hope. These are not random objects. They are powerful clues tied to Cleopatra herself. Several bronze coins were unearthed, clearly showing the queen's face and even images of Alexander the Great. Each coin acts like a frozen snapshot in time, proof that this site had a direct connection to Egypt's last pharaoh and the rulers she admired. But the discoveries didn't stop there. Statues of Isis, Cleopatra's divine counterpart, were also revealed, along with pottery vessels from the same era. Together, these finds paint a picture of a sacred place, one filled with ritual power and royal presence. It suggests that this location may not have been just another temple. It could have been chosen as Cleopatra's eternal resting ground. For archaeologists, such discoveries are like puzzle pieces. Coins and statues may seem small, but they provide hard evidence linking Cleopatra to this temple. Every artifact adds weight to the theory that the queen's tomb could be hidden nearby. The mystery is still unsolved, but with each object uncovered, the past seems to be whispering Cleopatra was here. Alexandria burial mystery. Alexandria burial mystery has divided historians for centuries. Ancient writers like Plutarch and Cassius Dio claimed Cleopatra built her tomb in Alexandria. According to their accounts, this is where she died after the Romans crushed her empire and where she asked to be buried beside Mark Antony, the man she loved. If these records are true, her final resting place should be in the heart of Alexandria, not miles away under a temple. But here's the problem: much of ancient Alexandria no longer exists. In 365 AD, a massive earthquake triggered a tsunami that swallowed parts of the city, dragging palaces, temples, and streets into the sea. It's very possible that Cleopatra's tomb was one of the victims, lost forever beneath the waves. Modern divers exploring the submerged ruins of Alexandria have found statues, sphinxes, and even temple columns, but no queen. This leaves archaeologists torn. Some follow the texts and search underwater, believing the queen is buried in the drowned city. Others turn to sites like Taposiris Magna, hoping she chose a safer, more spiritual resting place linked to Isis. Until the truth is uncovered, the Alexandria burial mystery remains one of history's most captivating puzzles. Tsunami swallowed her city. Tsunami swallowed her city is not just a dramatic phrase, it's a chilling reality of ancient history. In 365 AD, a massive earthquake near Crete sent shockwaves across the Mediterranean. The resulting tsunami slammed into Egypt's coast, tearing through Alexandria, one of the greatest cities of the ancient world. Entire districts vanished beneath the sea. Temples, palaces, statues, and streets were dragged underwater in a single catastrophic moment. For Cleopatra's story, this disaster adds a haunting twist. If her tomb was built in Alexandria, as ancient texts suggest, then it may now lie hidden beneath the waves, buried in silt and stone at the bottom of the sea. divers exploring the ruins off the coast have already discovered colossal statues of pharaohs, crumbling sphinxes, and fragments of temples. Each discovery proves how much of the city is lost to the water. Yet Cleopatra's final resting place remains missing. Some experts believe the sea is holding her secrets. Others argue she may have chosen to be buried inland, safe from destruction. Either way, the tsunami reshaped history, turning the search for Cleopatra into both an archaeological quest and a battle against the ocean itself. Thutmose Esima's missing tomb. Thutmose Siva's missing tomb was one of Egypt's great unsolved mysteries, until recently. Thutmose Sekai ruled during Egypt's powerful 18th dynasty, the same dynasty that gave the world King Tut and Queen Hatshepsut. His reign was short, his death mysterious, and for centuries, no one knew where his body had been laid to rest. Unlike other pharaohs of his dynasty, his tomb seemed to have vanished. That changed when a British, Egyptian team digging in the Theban necropolis near Luxor stumbled upon a burial site in an unusual place, an area normally reserved for royal women. Crawling through a narrow, debris-filled passage, they entered a chamber with a ceiling painted blue and decorated with golden stars, a signature mark of a king's tomb. At first, they didn't know who it belonged to. Then came the breakthrough. Fragments of alabaster jars inscribed with the names of Thutmose Stellar and his queen, Hatshepsut. Finally, the lost tomb had been identified, but there was a twist. It was empty. Centuries ago, floods had damaged the chamber, and the ancient Egyptians may have relocated his remains. Still, the discovery of Thutmose Chisai's missing tomb has closed one of history's longest open chapters, proving that even lost kings eventually return to light. Discovery in flooded ruins. Discovery in flooded ruins is exactly how archaeologists described their first look inside the lost tomb of Thutmose Sikkim. The chamber was no grand royal hall, it was a wreck. Floods that swept through centuries ago had left the tomb choked with mud, debris, and collapsed stone ceilings. The team had to crawl through a space barely 40 centimeters wide just to enter. Imagine squeezing through a gap smaller than a backpack, knowing that beyond it might lie the secrets of a forgotten king. Inside, the sight was both breathtaking and tragic. The ceiling above was painted blue with golden stars, a signature design reserved for pharaohs. It was the first proof they had found a king's burial. But when they looked closer, the chamber was eerily empty. There was no mummy, no treasures, and no sarcophagus, only broken fragments left behind. Among the rubble were alabaster jar pieces inscribed with the names of Thutmose Sevi and his queen Hatshepsut, confirming the tomb's owner. The flood had forced ancient priests to remove the body long ago, leaving the tomb abandoned and forgotten. Still, the discovery in flooded ruins gave archaeologists something priceless, the lost resting place of a pharaoh once thought erased by time. Queen Hatshepsut connection. Queen Hatshepsut connection is what made the discovery of Thutmose's tomb even more fascinating. Hatshepsut was not just Thutmose Hi's half-sister. She was also his wife, a common practice among royals to keep power within the family. After his early death, Hatshepsut didn't just rule as regent for his young son. She declared herself pharaoh, becoming one of the most powerful and celebrated rulers in Egyptian history. When archaeologists found fragments inside the ruined tomb, many were inscribed with the names of both Thutmose Seven and Hatshepsut. This confirmed that the two were bound not only in life but also in burial. The connection suggests that she may have played a role in designing or preparing his tomb before taking the throne for herself. The discovery paints a vivid picture of political power in the 18th dynasty. Thutmose's brief reign ended in mystery, but Hatshepsut's rule reshaped Egypt, leaving behind temples, monuments, and a legacy that rivaled any king. Finding her husband's tomb, even empty, ties directly into her story. The Queen Hatshepsut connection reminds us that the history of Egypt was not just about kings. Sometimes, queens define the age. The empty tomb twist. The empty tomb twist left archaeologists both thrilled and disappointed. After years of searching, they had finally located the missing tomb of Thutmose II, but when they entered the burial chamber, it was empty. No mummy, no sarcophagus, no golden treasures, just broken fragments and mud left behind from ancient floods. At first glance, it looked like a pharaoh had been robbed of his afterlife. But deeper study revealed something different. This wasn't a case of tomb raiders stealing everything. It was nature. Centuries ago, heavy floods swept into the chamber, damaging the walls and collapsing the ceilings. The ancient Egyptians, realizing the tomb could no longer protect their king, likely moved Thutmose II's body to a safer location. His remains may still lie hidden in another valley or in a secret cache waiting to be uncovered. For archaeologists, the empty tomb was both a loss and a victory. They had solved the mystery of its location, confirming Thutmose II's final resting place, but the king himself was missing. The twist only deepened the mystery of Egypt's 18th dynasty and reminded the world that even when tombs are found, the past doesn't always give up its secrets so easily. Egypt's elephant army. Egypt's elephant army sounds like something out of legend, but it was real. Over 2,000 years ago, Egypt's rulers, the Ptolemies, built a massive stone fortress on the Red Sea coast. Its purpose wasn't to guard gold or grain. It was to house and transport elephants for war. Archaeologists exploring the site of Berenik uncovered courtyards, water systems, and even the skull of a young elephant tossed into an ancient trash heap. This discovery proved what many had doubted: Egypt once fielded an army of war elephants. The Ptolemaic dynasty, descendants of one of Alexander the Great's generals, wanted to expand their empire and needed power to keep enemies in check. Elephants, imported from East Africa, were the tanks of the ancient world. Towering, powerful, and terrifying, they could crush enemy lines and strike fear before the battle even began. The fortress itself was built like a military machine, with double walls, square towers, and sprawling courtyards large enough to train and station the animals. No record shows the fortress was ever attacked. Perhaps enemies thought twice when they knew Egypt's elephant army was waiting inside. This forgotten military outpost reminds us that Egypt's strength was not only in pyramids and temples, but also in the living giants they marched into battle. Fortress on the Red Sea. Fortress on the Red Sea was one of the Ptolemies' most strategic outposts, built nearly 200-300 years ago. This mighty stronghold at Berenik was designed not only as a military base, but as a hub for Egypt's most unusual weapon, war elephants. Its massive stone walls stood against the desert heat and the salty air of the sea, while its towers and double defenses made it look like an ancient war machine frozen in time. Inside the fortress, archaeologists uncovered a huge complex nearly the size of a football field and a half. There were 3 grand courtyards, workshops, storage rooms, and advanced water systems to support both soldiers and animals. The layout shows how carefully planned the site was, every corner designed for function and power. But the most fascinating find came from a trash dump. Among broken pottery and discarded tools, archaeologists uncovered the skull of a young elephant. It was proof that these giant animals once lived here, trained for battle and shipped across the empire. Curiously, there is no evidence the fortress was ever attacked. Perhaps its reputation, combined with the sheer terror of facing an elephant army, kept enemies away. The fortress on the Red Sea reveals how Egypt stretched its power beyond the Nile, using both walls and war beasts to protect its empire. Skulls in the trash heap. Skulls in the trash heap might sound like the title of a horror story, but in Berenik, Egypt, it became a clue to ancient warfare. While digging near the fortress walls, archaeologists sifted through what was once an ordinary trash dump. Instead of just broken pottery and scraps, they found something extraordinary: the skull of a young elephant. To modern eyes, it looked out of place, but for the Ptolemaic dynasty, it was part of life. This skull confirmed what many had long suspected: elephants were kept at this Red Sea outpost, trained for war and prepared for transport across Egypt's empire. But why was it in the trash? Was the animal too young to fight, or did it die before battle? Archaeologists aren't sure. Still, the discovery was a striking reminder that war elephants weren't myths. They were real, stationed in desert fortresses, and treated as living weapons. The trash heap also contained other fragments of daily life, from tools to broken ceramics, showing how soldiers and handlers lived alongside these massive beasts. It's almost eerie to imagine ancient workers tossing away elephant bones like scraps of food. Yet those discarded remains are what finally proved Egypt's elephant army was no legend. Sometimes, history's greatest secrets are found in the garbage. DNA of a Pyramid-Age man. DNA of a Pyramid-Age man has given scientists a glimpse into life nearly 400–800 years ago. The man lived during Egypt's Pyramid Age, a time when pharaohs built massive monuments and limestone blocks were dragged daily under the blazing sun. His body was buried in the ancient city of Naqada, about 165 miles south of Cairo, but not in a sarcophagus. Instead, he was placed inside a pottery vessel, almost like a genie sealed inside a lamp. For centuries, his remains sat unnoticed. But using cutting-edge technology, scientists finally sequenced his genome, making him the oldest Egyptian ever to be genetically decoded. The results were astonishing. He was about 5'2", with brown hair, brown eyes, and dark skin. His DNA showed he was 80% North African and 20% Mesopotamian, proving that even in ancient times, Egypt was a melting pot of cultures and trade. His bones told more of the story. Signs of arthritis, worn joints, and repetitive motion suggested years of hard labor, likely as a potter. Yet his elite-style burial hinted at higher status. Was he a craftsman who earned honor, or an elite who worked with his own hands? His DNA, preserved against the odds in Egypt's heat, opened a window into the real people who built civilization. Not just kings, but everyday workers whose blood shaped history. Secrets in ancient bones. Secrets in ancient bones can reveal more than tomb paintings or stone carvings ever could. The remains of the Pyramid-Age man uncovered in Naqada tell a story written not in ink, but in his very skeleton. His bones showed heavy wear, severe arthritis in his joints, enlarged hip bones from long hours of sitting, and repetitive strain in his right arm. These details point to years of hard manual labor, likely shaping clay on a pottery wheel. His body carried the marks of a working man. And yet, his burial was not ordinary. He was placed carefully inside a pottery vessel and laid in a tomb with signs of high status. This contradiction puzzled archaeologists. Was he a craftsman who rose above his station, or perhaps an elite who chose to work with his hands? His skeleton refuses to give an easy answer, but it does prove that ancient Egypt was more complex than simple kings and slaves. Thanks to modern science, his DNA confirmed not just his ancestry, but his diet, height, and even his appearance. Through his bones, we can see the daily struggles, the labor, and the identity of a man who lived nearly 5,000 years ago. Secrets in ancient bones remind us that history's greatest stories are not only carved in monuments, but carried in the bodies of those who built them. Potter or elite? Potter or elite? That is the puzzle surrounding the man from the Pyramid Age. His skeleton tells one story, while his burial tells another. On one hand, his bones reveal a lifetime of physical labor. His right arm was overdeveloped, likely from spinning a pottery wheel day after day. His joints were stiff with arthritis. His hips showed strain from long hours of sitting, and his spine carried the weight of endless hard work. He looked every bit like a craftsman, yet his burial suggests privilege. He was not tossed into a simple grave like most laborers. Instead, he was placed inside a pottery vessel and buried in a tomb with signs of elite treatment. Why would a potter, a man of work, be honored like this? Some experts think he may have been an artisan favored by the elite, respected for his skill and importance to the community. Others believe he may have been of higher status by birth, but chose to work with his own hands. The contradiction makes him a mystery. Was he an elite who lived like a worker, or a worker who rose to elite status? His story challenges our assumptions of ancient Egypt, showing that status was not always simple. Potter or elite? Maybe he was both. Marge Simpson in Egypt. Marge Simpson in Egypt sounds like a joke, but it's real. Archaeologists recently uncovered a coffin lid from Egypt's New Kingdom era, nearly 500 years old, that shows a woman who looks uncannily like the cartoon character from The Simpsons. The lid belonged to Tati East, daughter of a high priest, and it depicts her with a tall blue headdress and a strapless green dress. Just like Marge Simpson's iconic look, the resemblance is so striking that when photos hit the internet, the comparisons went viral. Of course, the Egyptians didn't know Marge. The hair was actually a ceremonial crown or elaborate wig, symbols of status and divinity. Still, the coincidence is too perfect to ignore. The coffin was beautifully decorated with symbols from the Book of the Dead, amulets, and vibrant colors, but all anyone could see was Marge standing tall in ancient paint. Tati East was no ordinary woman. She came from a powerful family and was buried with jewelry, amulets, and a golden mask, proof of her elite status. Yet it's her cartoon-like likeness that has captured the modern imagination. Between sacred crowns and pop culture, history gave us one of the strangest crossovers ever. Marge Simpson in Egypt. Priest's daughter Tati East. Priest's daughter Tati East was no ordinary Egyptian woman. She lived over 3,000 years ago during the New Kingdom, a time of wealth, power, and elaborate burial traditions. As the daughter of a high priest of Thoth, she belonged to the elite religious class, a group that held great influence in both politics and spirituality. Her tomb, discovered in a cemetery dating back 500 years, revealed treasures that proved her status. Her coffin was lavishly painted with symbolic artwork, protective spells, and bright pigments that survived the centuries. Inside, archaeologists found her mummified body adorned with layers of amulets, jewelry, and a finely beaded dress. She was even buried with a beautifully crafted golden mask. Every detail showed that Tati East was someone important, honored, and protected for eternity. But what made her famous in modern times was the strange image on her coffin lid. Her painted figure, with a strapless green dress and tall blue crown, looked shockingly similar to Marge Simpson. While it was truly an ancient headdress and not blue hair, the resemblance captured the internet's imagination. Behind the viral jokes, though, lies the truth. Tati East was a powerful woman of Egypt's golden age, remembered today in both history and pop culture. Polish village Osiris find. Polish village Osiris find sounds unbelievable, but it's true.